Okay, so welcome everybody to Tzama Nafshi, Bava Kama, Baruch Hashem. We're making our way through this Amud over here. Mem Gimel Amud Beis. A very difficult Amud, indeed. So yesterday we explained what's the Shittus Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish in regard to the din of Shloshim Shel Eved and Kofer.
But we didn't answer the question.
Which question?
The question was, since we have determined very clearly that the word ki is not extra in the case of ki Eved, so how is it that Rabbi Yochanan can use it for a drasha?
Okay, good. Right. Just for the record, was that the word ki? What's the word in the pasuk? Im.
It was im, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is what it says. Im kofer yushas olav. Right. Right. So what is the answer? Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't find I don't know if I could say I didn't find an answer, because that would imply that I looked. So,
you didn't see an answer. You didn't see an answer.
And I can't say there's no answer, because I don't know.
Aren't we forced to say that it must be that he holds it is extra?
If he holds that it's extra, we are forced to say that. Right, we are forced to say that it's extra, because that's why he makes a drasha, and includes the Rabbos Shelo B'Kavanah, right? 100%. That's what's bothering us. That's exactly the problem.
We don't know why.
How do you understand that the word? One second. When it comes to Shloshim Shel Eved, not the pasuk that I just read. Right. I read the pasuk of Kofer, and that everybody agrees. Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan agree that im Kofer Yushas Olav, that's extra. That's extra. You don't need that im.
So we said that, well, because it could have said, oh,
Im Eved Yigach. That's the pasuk that we're interested in. Im Eved Yigach Hashor or Amma Kesef Shloshim Mishkolim Itein Ladona Bashor Yisakel.
So we said, we could have said, oh, and that's why it's extra.
Right.
And then I asked you, well, if you said, oh, we could darshan, oh.
Right. So this is what the Shita Mikubetz is. You're in good company. You're in good company.
Oh, good.
The Shita Mikubetzes, Rav Betzalel Ashkenazi of blessed memory, the author of Shita Mikubetzes, written hundreds of years ago. He's also asked this question. He asked this question. And he says it's a dochak to say that the diuk is from this, that it says im, as opposed to saying oh. Because it's true, it could have said oh, Eved Yigach. Which is, if you look in the pasuk, if you have the pasuk in front of you, it's actually the pasuk before the pasuk of Im Eved Yigach. And it's Os Gimel if you have a Torah or a Shalom. How many people here, just for curiosity's sake, how many people here have a Torah or a Shalom? Is it just me?
No.
You got a Torah or a Shalom?
Yeah. I have a Mikveh Kodesh.
Oh, so you have the pasuk also?
Yeah.
You have this pasuk, okay. What did people do before there was a Torah or a Shalom?
He had to work.
They were greater. They do it.
You had to, what did you have to do? You always had on the side line of the Gemora at least a reference to where that pasuk could be found. If it was found in Chumash, if it was found in the Navi, it would tell you the name of the Sefer, and it would at least tell you the chapter that it was in. It wouldn't tell you the pasuk. That you had to work on your own. So sometimes you had to look through 70 psukim if you have a chapter that has 70 psukim, and you had to find the pasuk. And the pasuk was always the 70th pasuk. But now, so you didn't have to be a big chacham. You just had to. You had to get up. Well, you look. You could at least see on the. Even if see, this is the Torah or Hasholem, which means that they give you the entire pasuk and they tell you where it could be found. Even if you want to look inside, in the whole parak to see. But it used to be that what would you have to do? You would know that it was a pasuk in Shmos. You would know that it was Perek Chaf Aleph, because that's what it would say on the side of the Gemora. In between the Rashi and the Gemora, there was a Torah or a Sholem. Over here, this little column over here, and it would tell you Shmos Chaf Aleph. So now I know it's Shmos Chaf Aleph. So now what do I do? I'm sitting here in this nice, comfortable seat, but actually 20 years ago, they didn't have nice, comfortable seats in the base medrash. They had benches, and you have to get, so it wasn't so problematic. You just get off the bench,
Which you wanted to do anyway.
and you get to stretch a little bit, and you have to go over to the wherever in the base medrash they have humashim. It's hard to find the humash in the base medrash. You don't have too many humashim, but you'll find it somewhere. And look it up. That's so. We just made it easier over here for us. We just made it easier, not impossible. So this pasuk that is right before our pasuk says, and if you want to know even more than that, we got a pasuk lamed. If you look in Torah or Hasholem on Mem Gimel Amid Aleph, the last pasuk that it quotes is the pasuk before the pasuk. In Kofar it says V'im Shor Nogach Humit Moshel Shom V'Hud V'Valav V'Lo Yishmerenu V'Hemis Ish, kills a man, meaning a man is a ben chorin or isha. Isha is also a bas chorin, even though she's an isha, right? Sorry about that. Matt, take that one out. Take that one out. Shor Yisakel V'Gam Balav Yumas. Now, so we've been talking about an ish or an isha. So both of them are bnei chorin. They're both bnei chorin, gemurim. And then it says the pasuk of Kofar Yushasalov. That is our pasuk. The im cannot be said that it's there because we're now talking about a different category of person, because we are still talking about the category of bnei chorin, isha. Right? I'm referring to the Rashi that we read yesterday that says that the im that we say need the igach eved is to make a separation and a reminder that we're now talking about a different category of person. We're now talking about an eved or an amma. That's why we have to say im. It's not extra. It's serving a purpose. But here we're continuing to talk about ish, and yet we say im. So this is the im that everybody agrees, both Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, that this is miutar, and we make our drasha even shalom b'kavanah. If the shor is hemis, the ish or isha, there's a payment of kofer. Good. Now, that the next pasuk is pasuk lamed aleph, which can be found in your Torah or Hasholem in Os Gimel on Mem Gimel Amid Beis. And now we start to talk about a different category of person. O ben yigach, o bas yigach. So we might have thought to say, oh, ben o bas, that's a different category from isha isha. That's going to have a different din. Does it have a different din? Plus it says, Kamishbar hazeh ya'aselo. No, not a different din. You might have thought that it has a different din. If we didn't have that pasuk at all, you might have thought to say it's a different din. Comes the pasuk to say, O ben, O bas, Kamishbar hazeh ya'aselo. It's got the same mishpat. It's got the same exact din. There's going to be a din of kofar over there too, for a ben o bas. Over here, it didn't say im yigach ben o bas. It just said o. Okay. Now, for some reason, when we come to the next pasuk and we talk about an eved, the Torah does not use that same expression o eved yigach. It starts off and says im eved yigach.
We're changing the din. It's not. We're changing the din on this. So it's a totally different image. In the other case, you're keeping with the same mishpat. Here, you're not keeping the same mishpat. So it's not like you said, oh, this or this or this or this, and it's always the same din. No, if it's this case, it's something different. It's a kanas.
Okay, good. So you want to say that we had to change the word because we're talking about a different category, we're talking about a different category and a different din. No longer are we talking about kofar. There's no kofar for an eved. There's only shloshim. That's the payment. There's no kofar for an eved. Now, of course, we're not talking. The eved that we're talking about is which type of eved? Eved Canaan. It's not a Jew. Up until now, we've been talking about Jews. Payment of kofar for Jews. Ish o isha ben o bas. Now we're talking about an eved Kanani or an amma. The pasuk says that's referring also to a female eved Kanani, which we call a shifcha kananis. The pasuk over here calls her an amma. So Phil wants to say, yeah, it says im because we want to make a distinction between the din that we've been having before of kofar, and now we're going to talk about the din of shloshim kesef. Okay, I hear. Very good. Very good. So therefore, what is
but
the
you
word?
You can't say oh. You don't have that option anymore.
That's what Phil is explaining why the Torah would it wouldn't be miutar for the Torah to write im over here. It wouldn't be good for it to write o. There's a reason for it to write im now.
Right. So that answers my question: why you couldn't doresh oh.
Well, it presents a problem for us. What's the problem?
I thought it solves the problem.
What's our problem? We got to know what our problem is. Then we'll know whether we solved it or not.
The problem is that Rabbi Yochanan says that im is extra.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Oh,
for us, that's a problem.
Right. Yeah, we still have that problem.
Rabbi Yochanan holds that he learns. We have him on record. We have him on record in the name of Reuven. Ki osa Reuven. When Reuven came from Eretz Yisrael, he said over the Torah of Rabbi Yochanan. He said that Rabbi Yochanan said, "Eved, matam aloymar im Eved." He could have just said Eved. What does it have to say im Eved for? It's miutar. It's miutar. So what's his drasha? Therefore, I say that since it's miutar, therefore I say the Rabbos Eved shelo b'kavanah ke'eved b'kavanah. So we see clearly, black on white, that according to Reuven, Yochanan holds that the word im of im eved higach is miutar. Therefore, we got a drasha of shelo b'kavanah also pays shloshim shel eved. Question is, what exactly is miutar? Shita mikubetzes leave off his question without answering it. You don't find an answer in the Shita Mikubetzis. He says it's a dochak. It's a dochak. It's a verquetscht teretz. It's a forced answer to say that the Torah wrote im, when it could have written O Eved Yigach, is the source of Rabbi Yochanan saying that the word im is miutar. Because Phil is very nicely pointing out, it's different than the O Ben Yigach that we said in regard to the case of Kofir. Over there, right? We said O, but we can explain that we're not saying O over here because we've got a totally different din. We're talking about the din of Eved. And this is really what Rashi said. That's really the explanation of why Rish Lakish himself holds that he's cholik on Rabbi Yochanan in this case, because we need that im lechalek bein Eved leben chorin. That's exactly what Rashi said. So
We're stuck.
now they have a saying in yeshiva. You know what the saying in yeshiva is?
When you're stuck, you're stuck.
Stob nicht von der Kasche. Stob nicht. Stob nicht von der Kasche. Stob, you don't die. Nicht, you don't die. Von der Kasche. From a kasha. What do?
Fetch.
You go weiter. Darf gehen weiter. Okay. Bli neder, I'll try to take a look. There's got to be some commentary that discusses this, but they would probably be afraid to say anything. They'll probably say, even though I'm afraid to say this because the Shita B'Kabetzis doesn't hold like this, but this is what I would say. Okay. Say the Gemora. So that's where we're holding. We end that section and we have a kasha. We didn't get answer. Okay. So let's go back to Roy. You want to read? Cain ben Obas.
Cain ben
Cain ben Obabas.
Cain ben Obabas. Zij voor my boy and for my girl.
Is what? What is the Mishnah referring
It
to?
says here that the ox is executed and the owner of the muad pays kofar.
Oh, that's what we just got through reading in the pasuk. O ben Obas yigach kamishpat hazeh ya'aselo.
So what's the difference between Ben Chorin or Ben Obat?
Who's the ben Obat that we're talking about? As opposed to the Ish, because the first pasuk.
If it does kofar, so that means it's the Ben Chorin. It's not Eved.
Right.
So why did it say Ben Obat?
Why would we have thought that a ben Obas would not that this din wouldn't apply? They're also a Jew. Who's the ben Obas that we're talking about? What do we mean when we say ben Obas? As opposed to Isha Isha.
A child.
Probably somebody who is less than Bas or Bar Mitzvah. For a boy it would be less than 13, for a girl it would be less than 12.
Maybe you might think that they don't have the seichel to avoid the animal, and therefore the negligence of the owner is reduced.
Okay, you're explaining why the Torah makes the rule.
Why
Because
do
we have to understand the Torah made the
discuss
rule.
now?
Well,
I'm
no,
saying
I'm
Torah made the...
explaining what your havamina would be might be to think not what the Torah says. You asked, why does the Torah say Ben or Bas? I'm saying, well, maybe because if it didn't say Ben or Bas, you would think that this is the reason.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say in the case of Isha, they weren't paying attention, and they should have gotten out of the way, and the shore gored them. What's the din? Is there a kofir?
Yes.
It's kofir?
Yes.
Ben Chorin pay kofir. We don't pay kofir.
Didn't we have a case like this with the we had a case like this, not in regard to shore, but we had a case like this in regard to Aish, with the Eved and the Gedi. If they're kafus, if they're tied up to the Gedish,
Right.
the owner won't be liable in the case where the Eved or the Gedi is not tied up, because we say they should have ran away. They should have ran away. Does it matter whether he's over bar mitzvah or less than bar mitzvah? No. He should have ran away either way.
Well, maybe.
So why would there be a difference just because they're less than gil bar mitzvah?
Well, maybe because in the case of a fire, it's more obvious that you need to run away because you feel the heat of the fire. You see the fire coming towards you.
Yeah.
But it's not as obvious in the case of a shore. Because the child's playing a game with the animal, doesn't have the seichel to know that you don't do that.
And a person who's more than 13 would
Does
know
have the seichel.
that this shore
Is a goring animal.
is a goring animal.
Oh,
He doesn't know that either.
Just knows that a shore is dangerous.
He knows that there's pot. Well,
Don't play a game in front of the shore.
Yes.
You know, the ben could be a tinok. Doesn't have to be at an age that
Even
is
more
not-
so. Then you're making my point even stronger.
That,
The child doesn't know.
right.
Therefore, the negligence is more on the owner.
The negligence still comes out to be the same either way.
No, not necessarily.
It's
you
the same,
say
it's
that-
the same mishpat.
if you
It's
say-
the same kofar. It's the same payment.
I'm explaining to you the opposite. I'm explaining to you what you might think if it didn't
Yeah.
say what it says. It wouldn't be the same kofar in that case.
why do we
Why not?
need to have the pasuk tell me that it's the same din? That's what you're explaining?
Yes, exactly. I'm saying if it didn't tell you, this is what you might have thought.
Okay. The Seder. So let's see what the Gemora says over here. Ben Ubas, Kanrabonim. Take it away, Roy, please.
Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught the Brisa, or Ben Yigach, or Bas Yigach. The passage of a Moed states whether it calls a boy or it calls a girl, so it should be done, according to the judgment. Chayiv al Hakatanim Gadolim. The verse comes to make the ox liable for the killing of minors as for the killing of adults.
Right.
Now, the Bryson, now would this not be dictated by logic? Since the Torah held a person liable for killing a person, Torah held a person liable for killing a person, the Chayiv Shor Badam, and it held an ox liable for killing a person. So it follows that Ma Kashechayev Yeshechayev Adam Adam Lo Shana Bei Katanim V'Gadolim. Just as when it held a person liable for killing a person, there's no difference between minor and adult. Af,
Right?
כשחיי חי שור, ואדם לא תחרק או בין קטנים לגדולים.
Right.
So too, when it held an ox liable for killing a person, you should not differentiate between a minor and adult victims.
One second. Let's try to digest this. What is this brisa? What we have a brisa. The Gemora is bringing a brisa. Ton Rabbanan. That means that we have a brisa. Ton Rabbanan means we are bringing a brisa. What does it say in this brisa? What are the words from the brisa that we've over here, and what are the words? Yeah. Well, let's leave that question on the side. Doesn't matter. What is this brisa saying? What's the first thing the brisa says? The brisa makes right. The brisa brings the pasuk, Oben Obas Yigach, and we see from there L'chayv ala katanim kegedolim. The brisa interprets that the word Ben Obas in the pasuk is referring to katanim, like we thought. Tachas Gil Bar or Bas Mitzvah. And the pasuk says, "Kamishpat hazeh yaselo." So the brisa says, we see that in regard to a shore killing Ben Obas, the din is exactly like it is by Gedolim. We're going to be Mechayev Ketanim just like we are Mechayev Gedolim. No difference. Okay, now what I was wondering was, is this part of the brisa or not? But let's not get hung up on that. It doesn't really matter to us whether these are the words of the brisa, whether these are now the words of the Gemora.
Well, if these were not the words of the brisa would not be making a mistake. We'd just be quoting a pasuk and not saying anything about it. So
It is saying something. What's the brisa saying?
If these words were not the brisa, then the brisa would be saying nothing.
I'm saying the brisa is saying something. Even if we say that that's all the brisa said. What's the brisa telling us?
The brisa says, O ben yigach, O bas yigach.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it says.
No, then it says, these are definitely the words of the brisa. L'chayev ala ketanim kegdolim. Period. Okay?
In that case, it's saying something.
Yeah, right. It's telling us what's the pshat in the pasuk.
So those words
Right.
have to be part of the brisa.
Yeah, right. So I was just wondering, now that there's a question that's presented. Alo dinhu.
Why we need it?
Why do we need it? Why do we need
in the
it?
Torah.
So
That could be not part of it.
that's possible that that's not the brisa anymore. That might be the Gemora asking on the brisa.
Rabbi Artscroll says it is.
Oh, what does he say?
The brisa questions the need for the verse to
Okay,
explicitly state
okay. So he says that it's a brisa. Fine.
So it's the Hamshach of the Breita, it's a continuation
Yeah.
of the Breita?
According to the Artscroll.
Okay. Okay.
Where does the Breita end then? Does it say?
Brisa ends, I think it ends after the Kol V'chomer, which we haven't even written.
Oh, before the Chol Chumash ends right there? Or
I
it
think after.
includes the Chol
We'll
Chumash?
see. We haven't.
It's a big
It says furthermore, so I think
Oh,
the Kol V'chomer is also part of the Brisa.
okay. Yeah, it's just-
Oh no, it says the Brisa refutes his argument. Brisa is very long according to Artscroll. It goes on even after the Kol V'chomer.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it may separate and pick it up later. It doesn't mean it's all continuous. It could be, this is the beginning, we're discussing this, if the Gemara says something and then the Brisa picks up more of the Brisa later on. It doesn't have to be a continuous Brisa.
Well, it says the Brisa questions this, and then there's an answer. So you want to say the answer is not part of the Brisa.
Okay, we haven't even gotten there yet. Let's
Yeah,
just go at our own pace. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Let's just analyze what we've already read. So now we have a question. Hello, Dinhu. Gemora says, Dinhu. Look, it's a din. A din meaning, sometimes the Gemora, when the Gemora says din, it means that we can derive this from a Kal V'chomer. But here, not a Kal V'chomer, it's more like what we would call a binyan av, or b'mem atzinu, which means that sometimes the Torah tells us a certain din. Take this case. Told us a din, that there's a payment of kofir, tells us a din, that there's a chiyuv of adam ba'adam. When an adam kills another adam, there's a chiyuv. And we don't make any distinction in that case in regard to the consequences for the rotzeach, whether his victim was 30 years old or whether his victim was 10 years old. They make no distinction. It's called ritzicha either way, and the consequences are Mrs. Bezdin for the rotzeach. Okay, and over here we could say, well, in this case also, just like we find over here. Here we're talking about shor. Is there a reason that we would think that if we don't make a distinction when it comes to Adam ba'Adam, that we would yes make a distinction when, in the case when shor kills Adam? Is there any reason to make a distinction? We know, in other words, that when Adam kills a 30-year-old or Adam kills a 10-year-old, no distinction. There's an equal chiyuv. Now, we turn to the case of somebody's shor killing Adam. Is there a reason for us to say, can we think of a reason why there would be a distinction between the din of how old the victim was? If he's 30 years old or as opposed to 10 years old? Should it be different than the case of Adam ba'Adam? Is there any reason to think it would be different?
Well, a minor is different in many ways.
Okay. Yeah, what's the difference?
In regard to, for example, getting a inheritance is different from is different.
What, he doesn't inherit the money?
He does, but it depends on.
He inherits the money just like a gadol inherits the money. Is his life any less valuable than that of a gadol?
Yeah, I mean, the other way, see, the problem is, not that the answer is this way, but the other way it doesn't work. You know, like the katan killing the man isn't going to work. It's not the same din of a katan.
We're not talking about that.
Right. So that case, so there is differences between each and katan.
We're talking about the victim.
So the question.
We're talking about the victim.
Right.
Is the victim when the victim is a katan? Is there a difference between when the victim is a gadol? We see.
Well, the question.
Adam ba'Adam, there's no difference.
I mean, Shita, it would seem like there would be no difference. But the other question becomes, you could say, well, since it specifically used the word ish, did it specifically use the word ish to exclude a katan? Because the pasuk talking about kofa specifically used the word ish or isha and didn't use the word katan. It didn't use the word berobat.
Yeah.
So maybe you could say, maybe one might think, I mean, it sounds like a dochik again, it sounds like a stretch, that because it used the word ish, if it did this to an ish or isha, it would be to be davka an ish or an isha, but not to a katan or a katana. But now this pasuk adds to it that it has to include the katan and katana also.
Okay. First of all, you could say that ish is being specified as opposed to
Adam.
Eved.
Right.
Not necessarily coming to say
Right.
as opposed to
Right.
Benubas. That's number one. So the diuk is a shvacha diuk. Number two,
Allows
Weak.
one.
weak, shvach. Shvach. Not shevach.
Schwach.
It's a Yiddish word, shvach.
Schwach.
See here in this class, you went to a upan Lou, in Ivrit. So here you have a ulpan in Yiddish. You have to know Yiddish too.
That's why I asked.
If you want to learn Gemora, you have to know Yiddish.
That's
That's what my Rebbeim always told me. I always told him, Rebbe, can you please speak in English? He was born in America. He says, I'll try.
My friend is.
So what happened?
I'm saying, he speaks Yiddish.
He's laughing.
He spoke Yiddish. And I learned a little bit of Yiddish. Okay.
So I still have my reason though.
What?
The negligence issue.
Why you might think that there is a
Difference.
difference in the liability.
If you cover it's worth maybe you have to pay
Okay.
cover, maybe it's worth less.
Well, you won't have a full payment.
It's possible.
You might have thought that the payment will be structured differently. It won't be a kofar. Well, I mean, the kofar payment. Kofar doesn't say how much you're going to pay. It says that there's going to be a kofar payment. But would we think that there's not going to be any kofar payment? So you want to say, Lou wants to say, yeah, maybe there won't be a kofar payment at all because he contributed to his own death because he didn't pay attention. So I'm saying to that, it's also true of an adult if he contributes to his own death. There's not going to be payment of kofar. That has nothing to do with whether he's a katan or a gadol.
But there's a presumption, there's a greater likelihood that a child would act irresponsible in that situation, and therefore we can go on the greater likelihood.
Well, could we make a rule across the board based upon percentages? What about the katanim that didn't show any negligence whatsoever, and still the shore killed them? Would we say
don't
that
we have the
the
principle?
guy is not liable? The owner of the animal is not liable because katanim generally are negligent? No, that wouldn't work, right? That won't work.
Maybe it would. We have a principle of rove that we apply sometimes in halakha.
Okay, fine. Maybe yeah, maybe not. What's the Gemora saying over here? Gemora over here is saying Halo Dinhu. The Gemora holds that based upon the din, we would know what this pasuk is coming to tell us, even if the pasuk was not written at all, in any way, shape, or form. Halo Dinu.
That's what we
It's
asked in the
a din.
beginning. Why did we start
we
speaking
need
about
the
that?
soup?
Why did we start in the beginning then about what's the story? What's the story over here?
It's like,
So now
If they
there's
start in the beginning, Ben or Bas, we'd have the same question in reverse. We'd say, what about an ish?
no. That is the question.
Yeah.
That is the question.
That's
Halo
exactly.
Dinhu. What do you mean Ben Obas? We just got through saying Isha Isha. Now what do you
Right.
need to tell me Ben Obas for? Halo Dinhu.
Right.
The din should be derived. The din is that we should be able to derive this from the fact that we know that when it comes to Adam ba'Adam, we make no distinctions between whether the victim was a gadol or a katan. That's what the Gemara says here. Halo dinhu. Hoyel v'chayav Adam ba'Adam. Since we know that there's an obligation when one Adam kills another Adam, and we also know chayav shor ba'Adam that there's liability when a person's shor kills an Adam, that the animal is niskal. And furthermore, ma shekachayev Adam ba'Adam, just like we find in the Torah that when an Adam is chayev for killing another Adam, Lo shna ben ketanim legedolim. We do not make any distinction between whether the person was 10 years old or whether he was 30 years old. We don't find any such distinction when it comes to murder. Adam ba'adam. We don't find any such distinction. So says the Brisa, according to our scroll, we'll go with that. Af kishachayev shor ba'adam. Even so, therefore, also the case of the shor, when he kills, and there's going to be liability for Adam that he kills. Lo tachlok. We should not make any distinction whatsoever between ketanim and gedolim. And if so, that we make no distinction. So therefore, what? What's the Brisa's problem?
We don't need Ben or Bas. We don't need that.
We don't
pasuk.
need that pasuk. We do not need that pasuk. Exactly. That's the Brisa's point. We do not need the pasuk. Question number 1. Take a look at Rashi. Not we want to take a look at Rashi. Lo dinu. It's 3 lines from the bottom. Or actually, you could start from the Rashi before that.
חייב על קטינים, חייב על קטין, על סקילה. סקילה, okay.
Talking about the din of skila, says Rashi. Okay.
Yes, what was that going on?
As opposed to that the shore gets skila.
When it's a
Shabbat
child.
skila.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Rashi needs to. Rashi is telling me that the Bryce is talking about the chiyuv. That the Bryce is talking about is the chiyuv skila on the animal.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, what's Rashi telling me?
You tell me like it's the Ben Chunin because for skida that means it is kofer and kofer that means it's like Ben Chunin.
Yeah. Well, how come Rashi didn't tell me anything about the din kofir? The chiyuv, maybe the chiyuv of the Bryce is talking about kofir. It'll be a kofir payment when the shore kills Ben Obas. Why is Rashi zeroing in here dafka on the din of the skila?
If the
Of the
skila,
shore.
then if the skila, then
This is kofer.
Kofer.
That's
No
what-
skila, no kofer.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that means it's in front of the Ben Chunin.
Okay.
According to Rabbah, that's so. According to Baya, they don't go together at all. Right? That's a machlokes of Baya and Rabbah. Rabbah says they go together. If you have skila, you can have kofar. If you don't have skila, you cannot have kofar.
So Abaye
Baya says not like
might
that.
say there's no kofar in the case of a child. Is that true?
Well, the Brisa here, that's what I'm trying to focus in on here. The Brisa says there's a chiyuv. But the Brisa doesn't tell me what the chiyuv is that it's referring to. At least not yet. And Rashi is telling us, you know what the chiyuv that the Brisa is referring to is? Skila of the animal. So my question is, what caused Rashi to say dafka the chiyuv skila is the issue of the Brisa, as opposed to other chiyuvim that there are in this case, right? There's a chiyuv kofir.
Why does the short get skila if a man kills another man or a child?
Oh,
He doesn't get skila.
oh, excellent.
He's talking about the shore.
He's got it.
I didn't get it. I didn't hear it.
I didn't get it.
Say the answer
I
again.
didn't give an answer. I just asked a question.
You gave an answer. You didn't even realize you gave an answer.
Somebody please tell me.
You got the answer. Gemora here is. We asked, why is Rashi saying skila over here? What about kofir? Okay. The Gemora, the Brisa, we don't want to be cholik on art scrolls. The Brisa says halo dinhu. It can be learned out from the din of Adam ba'Adam. What could be learned out from the din of Adam ba'Adam?
Skila.
Skila could be learned out from the din of Adam ba'Adam. Could the din of Kofar be learned out from Adam ba'Adam?
Yes.
Yeah?
Why not?
I'll tell you why.
You don't get an Adam ba'Adam is Misa, there's no Kofar.
What's the source? What's our source for saying that there's going to be Kofar by Behema ba'Adam? If we're going to learn from Adam ba'Adam, we got no source. There's no Kofar. So that's what I understood from what Rachamim was saying.
Good job, Rachman.
Good job.
What are you looking at me for?
Very good. Okay.
Okay.
So Rashi is clarifying to us that you can only learn something from this logic. You can only learn skila. Because you can't learn kofar because there is no kofar in Adam.
Right. The Malamed over here, the teacher is Adam ba'Adam. That's what's teaching us. Halo dinhu. This can be derived from a din that we have in the Torah. What din could we derive over here from Adam ba'Adam? Only the din of skila. Just like the Adam gets skila if he kills a 10-year-old, so too the shor gets skila if he kills a 10-year-old. We don't have any basis for saying that the owner will have to pay kofar because we have no limud, we have no teaching of that in regard from the case of Adam ba'Adam. So we can't teach from Adam ba'Adam to Behema ba'Adam the din of kofar. Very good. Okay. Says Rashi weiter. Yechiel, you want to read? Halo dinu.
ולא צריך קרה.
Right. Halo dinhu. Rice is saying that it's a din. It's derivatable from the dinim that we already have.
Derivatable.
Yeah. That's another Yiddish word. Okay? Yeah. You didn't know. Hey? So therefore, if it din means it's you could learn it out from one of the ways that the Torah derives dinim from. Kal v'chomer, binyan ab, b'mematzinu, dinhu. If so, then I don't need a pasuk to say it explicitly, because I could learn it out this way from a b'mematzinu. Just like we find by Adam ba'Adam, we could derive that the din would follow in the case of shor ba'Adam, And this that we say of b'mematzinu over here, by the way, it's important to know, b'mematzinu, a binyanav, is provided that there's no significant stringency in the case that you're learning too. There's no particular stringency that we have in the case of shor ba'Adam that we would say, no, they're not comparable. They're not comparable. Right? I want to learn the other way around. I want to learn this din of skila on the one who kills is what type of a din is it? It's a stringency. It's a strict din. So that we see that strict din applies by Adam ba'Adam. Now we want to say it should also apply for Ketanim and Gedolim. We want to say a binyan av. We don't need a pasuk that we could learn the same din would apply in the case of of shor ba'adam. So in order to say that b'mem etzinu, the din of shor ba'adam cannot be more lenient. We can't find a reason why we should be lenient over here, more lenient than we would in the case of adam ba'adam. Because if we could find something like that, we could say, no, because this is a strict din over here. There's skila over here. And that doesn't necessarily apply in the case of shor ba'adam. So therefore we would need a pasuk to tell me, yes, even though that shor ba'adam is a more lenient din than adam ba'adam, we would say that we have a pasuk that tells us, don't think that there won't be the same stringency. The stringency of skila will also apply in the case of shor ba'adam. That's why I was asking before we started to read these words from the Brisa, can we think of any difference between these two cases of adam ba'adam and shor ba'adam? That's really the comparison. Because we see that adam ba'adam also, you don't make any difference in the distinction. Also wanted to say that the shor ba'adam, well, he doesn't realize that the shor is dangerous. He might not realize that the man is dangerous either. Most men are not dangerous. That's a difference. He could play with the murderer too, not realize he's a murderer. So and yet we don't say, you shouldn't have, don't play with murderers. No, he's off the hook. The murderer is off the hook because the Katan didn't realize. It's not his fault. He contributed to his own death. We don't say that. Okay. Ad kan.